بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فجعله غثاء نحوا سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. We are going to continue the session of TAQLEED, ruling number 4, because we did ruling number 3. يكفي في التقليد تطابق العمل مع فتوى المجتهد الذي يكون قوله حجة. It is sufficient in the taqleed that the action, the action corresponds with the fatwa of the mujtahid. Which mujtahid? Any mujtahid? No, not every mujtahid is a mujtahid, but the mujtahid whose word is proof, that means is mubri' lidhimma, that means is mubri' lidhimma, is verified as authentic and reliable. That means whenever we do taqleed, we need to find out that the mujtahid is mubri' lidhimma. That means dhimma means zimedari, dhimma, my responsibility. Mubri' is like bari, bara'at, freedom, no liability, not accountable. So mubri' lidhimma, that means he is reliable, that means my responsibility is relieved in following him. That means relievable in responsibility. Mubri' lidhimma. Dhimma is responsibility. Mubri' is from bara'a, that means you are not accountable. So relieving the responsibility. So if that mujtahid, if I follow him, that just following him in my action, it is going to be sufficient as taqleed. The meaning of taqleed is that my actions are according to the mujtahid whom I need to refer, whose word is hujja fi haqqi fi'lan ma ihraz mutabaqati laha. So actually you secure, ihraz is secure, like hirz jawad, hirz ihraz you secure that fi'lan, yani actually in reality your actions were according to the words of that mujtahid. So you have to make sure that did you follow the mujtahid or not in your actions. So secure your actions based on the fatwa of the mujtahid. So therefore وَلَا يُعْتَبَرْ فِيهِ الْإِعْتِمَادِ. I'timad is relying. So you cannot just rely on someone else telling you that oh you are good. No, you have to make sure there needs to be ihraz. So basically you cannot rely, just relying is not sufficient. You have to make sure. I'timad is from relying on somebody. So relying on somebody is not sufficient. No, you have to make sure that your words have been. So how will I make sure? I ask Fulan Shikh, I ask Fulan Sayyid. So if they are trustworthy, then that's one of the routes or one of the means or one of the channels of securing that yes, because he's trustworthy. I ask a trustworthy. Because what happens, we have a lot of ayatullahs in our community, a lot of mujtahideen. Everybody gives fatwa. So that's why you cannot just take a word from somebody and just go. No, you have to make sure that this person is really reliable person in order to secure your actions according to the fatwa. So you got this? So this i'timad means relying. وَلَا يُعْتَبَرْ فِيهِ الْإِعْتِمَادِ. And relying on somebody is not considered, not enough. You have to have the ihraz, the security, that means surety, that yes, I am following my mujtahid. Ruling number 5. يَصُحُ التَّقْلِيدِ مِنَ الصَّبِي الْمُمَيِّز. As-sabi means child. Mumayyiz, remember tamyiz in Arabic grammar, distinguishing, able to distinguish. So discerning child, somebody who is able to know what's bad and good, what's halal and haram, all those kind of things, like basic things. A child who is able to know this is good, this is bad, good and bad, distinguishing between good and bad. So a child who is discerning child, يصح التقليد من الصبي المميز. فإذا مات المجتهد الذي قلده الصبي قبل بلوغه فحكمه حكم غيره الآتي في المسألة السابقة إلا في وجوب الاحتياط بين القولين قبل البلوغ. What he's trying to say is that suppose somebody was following a mujtahid and he was child, he did not reach the age of puberty. Like there are people that are following Sayyid Abul Qasim al-Khu'i and they had not reached the age of puberty, but they were able to distinguish good and bad. They had the kind of awareness. So if they had done taqleed to Sayyid al-Khu'i, so they can stay on his taqleed because they had done the taqleed before bulugh, but their age was age of discerning, like they were able to distinguish. So يصح التقليد من الصبي المميز فإذا مات المجتهد. The taqleed from the discerning child is permissible. Therefore, if the mujtahid dies, the one he used to refer to before bulugh, before reaching the age of puberty, then the ruling of this child is the ruling of any other. حكمه حكم غيره. His ruling is ruling of any other, that means who has reached the age of puberty. الآتي في المسألة السابعة, which is going to come in the seventh ruling number 7. This is 5. Except in wujub al-ihtiyat, except in the rule of the obligation to perform the precaution. Remember, there are 3 things: either do taqleed, either do ijtihad, either do ihtiyat. He said in the ihtiyat بين القولين قبل البلوغ. Except for this, he doesn't have to follow the rule of the adult person, which we are going to explain. So he said that he follows the ruling of adult person, except for the obligation of ihtiyat between 2 words. One mujtahid says this, one mujtahid says that. Should the child do ihtiyat? No, because he has not reached the age of adolescence. So it is not wajib on him to do ihtiyat. So the wujub of ihtiyat is not, the obligatory of ihtiyat is not wajib on him. So this rule is not, he doesn't follow the adult person in this rule. Ruling number 6. How is a mujtahid mubri' lil-dhimma? How can a mujtahid be mubri' lil-dhimma? That means freedom of liability. That means following him will free you from any kind of accountability on the day of judgment. Bara'at al-dhimma. Yajuzu taqleed man ijtama'at fihi umur. Ijtihad, this is a comment. So ijtihad is a level of knowledge. Anybody can become mujtahid. But can we follow any mujtahid? No. There needs to be condition. Like for example, al-bulugh, age of puberty. Al-aql, intellect. You cannot follow a mujtahid who have lost his mind. Al-iman, faith, follower of Ahlul Bayt. Maybe a non-follower of Ahlul Bayt, he studies in the house of Shia and becomes a mujtahid. But you cannot follow him because his aqidah is not, his beliefs are not the beliefs of Ahlul Bayt. Wal-dhukura, male. I mean, a female can become mujtahid, but we cannot do taqleed to the female. And wal-adala, the just, being just. We cannot follow a mujtahid who is a sinner. Wa-taharat al-mawlid, the legitimate child or legitimate birth, his birth is legitimate. And dabt bil-miqdar al-muta'arif, his memory is not like what they say, bulakra, he forgets a lot. No, because mujtahid needs to have a lot of things in his mind, the concept. So therefore, if he is like a forgetting mujtahid, then we cannot. Though he is a mujtahid, but he forgets a lot, it's not reliable. But he is a human, he will forget. Like Sayyid al-Khu'i, many times they will ask him mas'ala, he'll say wait, he will open his own book of law and tell him, okay, yes, it's jaiz or not. Sometimes he may forget, but he wants to make sure, so he can forget. But no, in average, he needs to have a good memory, which most of the mujtahideen, they have this memory. That means the whole concepts are in their mind. So if they forget something, that's fine. But average memory, they have to have. وَالضَّبْ بِالْمُقْدَارِ الْمُتَعَارَف. Muta'araf is common consideration, like urf. So whatever is in the urf of the mujtahideen, that kind of memory. وَالْحَيَاة, the life. فَلَا يَجُوزُ تَقْلِيدُ الْمَيْتِ ابْتِدَاءً. Now in this mas'ala, we're going to discuss few things. Number 1, لَا يَجُوزُ تَقْلِيدُ الْمَيْتِ ابْتِدَاءً. Taqleed of a dead person is not permitted if it was an initial taqleed. Ibtida, mubtada, start. So if somebody is going to start taqleed to a mujtahid who has died, he cannot do taqleed. For example, somebody wants to do taqleed now, fresh, and he wants to do taqleed of Sayyid al-Khu'i. We cannot let him do like that. We can say, no, you cannot. Why? Because you never. Yes, if you had done before, you can continue if the conditions of continuation are available. Like the a'lamiyya thing, we are going to take that mas'ala. But if you had not done taqleed to him, you cannot, even if he was a'lam than the living one, you cannot do taqleed to him. This mas'ala, ibtida'an and istidamat, and istidam is from dawam, da'im, continuation. This mas'ala got a big huss and fuss in the school of Ahlul Bayt. There used to be like 2 schools. Some of them, they will say, no, it's jaiz taqleedul mayyit, ibtida'an. The ikhbaris in Bahrain and in Karbala, they said they don't have to do the taqleed of the living. You can do taqleed of Shaykh al-Mufid, you can do taqleed of Shaykh al-Tusi, you can do taqleed of Shaykh Hussain al-Bahrani. This is a school where they had this direction that we don't need to do taqleed to a living person. We can do taqleed to a dead person. Where ulamas, they based on the evidences of usuli, no, taqleed needs to be done to a living or what? To a dead whom you had done taqleed to him before. Ibtida'an is not allowed. Istidamatan is okay if the condition of alamiyat is there, which we are going to explain. So is this understood first of all? The continuation of the taqleed. I know I have a lot of friends in Bahrain, they still follow mujtahideen, they died before 300 years, 400 years. So they still follow them. Because this is their direction based on their ancestry where they got it. But based on the ijtihad, the procedures of ijtihad, they have to do taqleed to the mujtahid who's living. Or he was close to your life, he died, and you can continue since you had done taqleed to him if he was a'lam. This is number one. Number two, taqleed of the women. It's not like a discrimination because there are like the rules of derivation, rules of ijtihad. What is the concept of taqleed? What is the mujtahid? The mujtahid, basically the position is, the mujtahid is, he's a naib-e-imam. Naib-e-imam, representative of the infallibles. So naib-e-imam, like imams, there were no imams female. Imams are representing the anbiya. There were no anbiya female. So it's like a continuation of this responsibility. Therefore, based on this concept, you cannot do taqleed. Even she's mujtahid, even she's very highly knowledgeable, you cannot do taqleed to that woman because of this concept. The maraja, they use the concept. Now there's a new direction coming. Of course, these mujtahideen, they are not until verified now. They say, what's the problem if you want to do taqleed to a woman? Like they say, their argument is this. You say a'lam is the main concept. So if we find an a'lam female, then that will be a problem not to follow a'lam, most knowledgeable. Because taqleed is based on the knowledge, most knowledgeable. So let's say if we find a most knowledgeable woman and she was Ithna Ashariya, she was legitimate, she was this. This is an argument going on between mujtahideen. So why not? The rebuttal is Fatimatu Zahra salamullahi alayha. Fatimatu Zahra, she was a'lam, she was knowledgeable, but still the title of nubuwwat or title of imamat was not given to her. Even Maryam alayhi salatu, she is Sayyidatun Nisa, but they come back and say, okay, Fatimatu Zahra, she became Sayyidatun Nisa because of her piety and patience, not necessarily because of the knowledge. Maryam alayhi salatu, same. The people, they have knowledge, they don't have taqwa, it doesn't be helpful. So they say we are talking here about knowledge, most knowledgeable knowledge. So why are you not allowing the female? Now there's another issue that, okay, let's say hypothetically we allow the female to become marja. If the a'lam marja, mujtahid, says that yes, you can follow the female, then it is permissible. So we have a concept here. Whenever someone is mujtahid but incomplete in one of these conditions, we have to refer to complete. Because there is a saying which says, Faqidu shay la yu'tihi. Faqid means somebody lacks something. Fuqdan. Faqidu shay la yu'ti. Like for example, if I don't have a thing, how can I give? If I don't have a thing, how can I give? Faqidu shay la yu'ti. That means if the water is not pure, how can it give purity to other things? Something lacks purity, will not give purity to others. When someone is lacking condition, like for example, if there was a female, she was a'lam, but there's one condition missing, that she's a female. That she cannot tell the people, you can follow a female. This you can follow a female needs to come out from a male. If the male gives permission that you can follow a female a'lam, then the problem is solved. Therefore, if there was a female a'lam, most knowledgeable, then for sure the male a'lam will give the permission to follow this a'lam. But there needs to be permission. Like for example, doing taqleed to the dead person. Dead person is faqid, like life. Life is one condition. So a dead mujtahid is incomplete. Like Sayyid al-Khuy was a'lam and everything. But we cannot refer to Sayyid al-Khuy without the permission of a living. Those who are referring to Sayyid al-Khuy, they have the permission of Sayyid al-Sistani. If Sayyid al-Sistani does not give permission, Sayyid al-Khuy is a'lam, is a giant. No, rules are rules. You cannot refer to incomplete without the permission of complete. So if somebody was non-a'lam, you want to refer to non-a'lam, you have to take the permission from the a'lam. If somebody was non-alive, you want to refer to him, you have to take the permission from alive. If somebody was women, you want to refer to her, you have to take the permission from her. So is this concept clear? That you have to refer, whenever you go to incomplete, like there are people, they say, Fulan mujtahid, I want to refer to him, is a nice, his ideas are nice, is this active in this and politics and that and that. Okay, now that's fine, but he's not a'lam. So if I want to follow him, you have to refer to the a'lam, you have to ask Sayyid Sistani, can I follow this ghair a'lam or not? See, if he gives you permission, okay. If he doesn't give you permission, you cannot follow. So that's number one. Number two, there are masail, there are rules. Some of the mujtahideen can become a'lam in certain masail from other mujtahid. This is called partial a'lamiyah. Partial a'lamiyah. He might have done more researches, he might have got more concept out of the narration. In this case, Sayyid Sistani says that in other book, is Arwat al-Wuthqa, he says is, if somebody was a'lam in a certain mas'ala, then you have to refer to him. Now let's say rules of women, like this chapter of hayd. These are very complicated rules. One of the mujtahid, he says, I did all the masail I practiced from A to Z, except chapter of hayd I could not, because I cannot have hayd. So he cannot, he's a male. So he said, I practice all the masail, hajj, zakats, khoms, everything I practice, except this chapter I could not practice. So therefore, a female, they go deep into the ahadith of the hayd and istinbatat of the hayd and istidlalat of the hayd, and become more stronger because they know these aspects, because they practice these aspects. There is no problem in they becoming a'lam. Then in referring to them in these masail, you will have to still have the permission of male mujtahid, because a'lamiyat is there, but there is another incomplete condition. So this is how it works on. Is this clear? Expect in future, I was telling the youth, expect in future your wife may be ayatullah and you have to do taqleed to her, because time is changing and the rules are changing. There are many al-an in Qom now, there are many in Qom female mujtahidat, but the problem is the taqleed. And there are few male mujtahideen, they gave fatwa that you can refer, but the problem is they are first of all not a'lam, and their ijtihad is not proven as well. Some say yeah, because they allow the female, that's why the maraja, they don't accept the ijtihad. It's not like that, these are rumors. But I mean, the qualified maraja, mubra' lil-dhimma, they say that yes, you can refer to fulana mubra' lil-dhimma, then it will be. In future it might happen, because we have seen a lot of changes happen in the fatwa. Now the only issue, which is the authority. In Sharia, whenever there is a group of male and female, the authority goes to male. 3 places, the authority goes to the male, because imamat and nubuwat is this authority. So that's why. So marja'iyat is basically authority. So that's why, as we mentioned, Fatimatu Zahra salamullah ala, Amir al-Mu'minin, they were both kufa. Maraj al-Bahraini yaltaqiyan. But the authority was in the hand of Imam Ali alayhi salam. So the same thing, the marja'iyat is a position of authority. That's why male has to take. But in future, if the authority was taken out from the marja'iyah, like nowadays we see hakim, wilayat al-faqih, wilayat al-hakimiyah. If this concept comes out more obvious, then if the marja'iyat is separated, then hakim. So then if the hakim is authority, that hakim cannot be female. The mujtahid is hakim, because now he has the authority. Then a marja'iyat female can have. But the thing is that majority of the fuqaha, they do not separate the hakimiyat from the marja'iyat. They say marja'iyat is hakimiyat. Like for example, when Imam Khomeini died, Sayyid al-Khamenei was not a marja', but he was hakim. He was mujtahid, he was hakim, but he was not proven to be mubra' lil-dhimma. Later on, when Sheikh al-Iraqi died, he got this mubra' lil-dhimma. But before, he was mujtahid, based on testimony of Imam Khomeini. He was hakim, not marja'. Like most of the maraja', they don't separate marja'i authority. Once a person is authority, everything. Like Sayyid Sistani, he does involve, and the way the Sayyid Sistani tackled the political issues of Iraq, people are amazed how he's able to keep all of them together. He's promoting democracy, he's promoting voting. Westerners were not expecting this. This is a shock, this is a slap on the face of Westerners. If this democracy happens, Iraq will be the only first Arab country practices democracy properly in this region. It's a slap on their face. They did not think, they said Iraq will fight and fight and fight. But see the wisdom of Sayyid Sistani, he emphasized on democracy. Okay, you want this game? We'll play the same game. And we'll play it right. They thought that no, we will keep Iraq in chaos. And they were. Now things are changing. Iraq is going towards democracy. And Sayyid Sistani gave fatwa that it's haram to play with the votes. The hukum yani, you cannot play with the votes. Everybody needs to go out, vote. And this was not expected by the Westerners. So alhamdulillah, it's our maraja, when it comes to that responsibility, they do whatever they need to do. So we cannot say, oh, this is politics, I want to refer to this knows medical, this. Whenever the time comes, they will get involved. Once they have mubra' lil-dhimma, they can get involved in any field of the fields of the life, or the areas or the aspects of the life. If a female becomes mujtahid, she has to do taqleed of herself. But can others do taqleed to her as an authority? No. That's what we are saying. That's the condition. But she has to do, if she is mujtahid, she has to do taqleed of herself. And when she becomes a'lam, then the issue will become debated. Like you have to refer to the a'lam male to see whether you can follow. So that's why I was telling the boys that tomorrow maybe your wife may become your authority, ayatullah on you. So don't be surprised. The time is changing, as I mentioned. So 3 places the woman cannot have the authority in Islam. One is the marja'iyat so far. One is salatul jama'ah. Salatul jama'ah, male has to lead the salatul jama'ah if you have group of male and female. And then the third, the family. house. If we have husband and wife, there needs to be authority. Sharia, ar-rijalu qawwamuna ala nisa. Islam has given the man the authority. Authority does not mean supremacy. It's a responsibility. If he messes up in his responsibility, on the day of judgment he will be in big trouble. So it's not something he can brag. He has to be careful. He says he needs to be scared whether I'm doing it properly or not. So this is a responsibility. So marja'i is responsibility facing the ummah and all those kind of things. These are sensitive areas in the family or in the masjid or in the community as a marja. The living marja is aware of these new laws. Why? Because people, they bombard him with the questions. Whoever follows Agha Khui Mayyat in laws which he did not have any fatwa, he has to refer to the living a'lam. This is only in the fatawas. Even more than that, there was a fatwa of Agha Khui and there was a fatwa of Agha Sistani. But the Ahl al-Khibra, they declared that the fatwa of Agha Sistani is more stronger in this area. Okay, he's in general a'lam Agha Khui, but in this area Sayyidi Sistani is more a'lam. Then you have to follow the a'lam in this masala. The whole criteria is a'lamiyya, most knowledgeable. So that's the criteria. So if the living is a'lam entirely, then you have to follow the living totally. If the dead is a'lam entirely, if there's partial, then you have to do partial taqleed. When mujtahid becomes available to be followed, lil khibra, people of experience, they testify there is mubra' lil dhimma. You can follow. See, marja is from ruju', raja'a, return, refer. So it becomes a reference, a base of return. Ruju', raja'a, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So ruju', raja'a, marja'. Marja' is ism maf'ul. Marja' is ism maf'ul, the one whom you return to in your issues and masail. If somebody has not done taqleed, kabisa to a dead person, he cannot refer to him. Like in childhood, before the age of adolescence, if he had done, he can. But if he, even before the age of adolescence, he had not referred, he cannot refer. And unless, if there was an a'lam, he said that there is a mas'ala, he was a'lam in it, and he testifies it, then referring to that mas'ala is not actually referring to that referring to the testimony of the living a'lam. So it's going to be living person, not the dead person. So these are the conditions. So basically, I mean, all these can be mujtahid. A person like Allam al-Hilli, 10 years old, he was mujtahid, small child. But taqleed, no, because he has not reached the age of adolescence. Ithna Ashariya, a person comes to the hawza, is non-Ahlul Bayt, and he studies and he becomes very talented. But no faith, problem. That's why some of the mujtahideen, when they started to say that na'udhu billah, Imam Ali might have consumed khamar while in salat, that brings a problem. We cannot follow this mujtahid. Like there's a mujtahid, I don't want to mention the name, in Lebanon. He says that, I read in his book, in his tafsir with my eyes, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَأَنْتُمْ سُكَارَى, do not come to the salat while you are intoxicating. A possibility is that it was descended on Imam Ali. Now why are you saying that kind of thing? This is what is Israr and all these kind of trash people, when they bring these kind of thing, because someone from our people there. So that's why, I mean, how can you do taqleed to a person who has problem in understanding the character of Imam Ali alayhi salatu? He is not testified. People, they follow because he allows taking off the beard and liberal and all those women, they can eat the jamaat and all those kind of things. So that's why lay people, they say, oh, ato asan se, ato badu, allows kafirs, every kafir is pure and all those kind of things. It solves a lot of the problem. But they don't see that this solving a lot of problems, he has a foundational problem himself. So therefore, it is very important to understand these issues. It's not black and white. No, the marja'iyya needs to be proven properly. Like even if he's mujtahid, but his aqidah is problem, we cannot follow a mujtahid whose aqidah is problem. Marja' mubra' lidhimma, to my knowledge, we had 7 in Qum, like before Sayyid al-Khui and his generation. Sayyid al-Khui, Sayyid Mar'ash al-Najafi, there were 4 or 5 top ones. Then Imam Khomeini was added later on, after the revolution. Then after that, the second generation, Sayyid Sistani, Sayyid al-Gulpaigani, Sayyid Safzawari, and Sayyid al-Rawhani, they were declared as mubra' lidhimma. And then after that, Shaykh al-Araki was added into the list. And then after these all died, Sayyid Sistani only remaining from that second generation. Then the third generation, 7 were presented by Hawza. ijaza in Qom, and 3 were from Najaf. So 7 from Qom was Ayatollah Nasir Makarim, Sheikh Mirza Jawad Tabrizi, Sheikh Fadl Lankarani, Sheikh Bahjat, Sheikh Wahid al-Khurasani, and Sayyid al-Khamenei, and Safi. So Marja'i somehow is becoming nationalism and favoritism and easyism, and all those kind of isms are coming in. It is not like old school, nice, old classical type of a'lamiyya issue. All these other factors are coming in. Like for example, one of the things, ijazah of khums. This is a disastrous thing. If a mujtahid is not marja, the people will come guest and he will give them ijazah of khums. So you give ijazah of khums, you are allowed to collect khums on my behalf, and this person is not qualified to even have ijazah of khums. This person becomes a media publicity for is marja, is marja. Why? Because if he's marja, then you will give him khums. When you will give him khums, half or 1/3 will be in his pocket. So this kind of thing we have seen a lot, that these ijazat were being abused and were given by people who are not qualified. People, they told me, some of the mujtahideen will give you ijazah. I said, no, thank you so much. I don't want to carry any ijazah. I don't want to carry that. Why should I become a means of media to someone who's not qualified? Me accepting that ijazah by himself is going to accept his authority. So I said, no, I don't want ijazah. Thank you so much. They are distributing. When the time of Sayyid al-Khuwi and Sayyid al-Sistani, we say in Arabic, talat al-ruh. Your soul will come out and you will not get the ijazah. Like, it's very difficult to get ijazah from Sayyid al-Sistani or Sayyid al-Khuwi, because many people, there has been record of abuse of ijazah. So this ijazah is one of the things, when certain mullahs and certain people are given ijazah and they are taking the pulpit, they are going to do the media and publicity of this fulan mujtahid and fulan mujtahid. Alhamdulillah, how much I speak about Sayyid al-Khuwi and Sayyid al-Sistani, I never took ijazah written from them, so that this accusation does not come on me. They have given me verbal ijazah, and I was working in the office of Sayyid al-Sistani, and I was working in the administration of Sayyid al-Khuwi long time, but I have never asked them for ijazah. You give me verbal, that frees my responsibility, and I bring the receipts and give it to the people. That's enough for me. Because if I have ijazah, since you have ijazah, you are doing publicity of Sayyid al-Khuwi and Sayyid al-Sistani. So that's why I keep myself away from these ijazah. I have ijazah from other maraja, not mujtahideen, but I did not take it, because when I promote the masail of Sayyid al-Khuwi, because you have ijazah, this happened a lot. So that's why we are trying to clean up these kind of concepts. So anyhow, we'll complete inshallah.
وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.